Snow fell heavily across the silent forest road as Officer Daniel drove through the storm on his nightly patrol. The temperature had dropped dangerously low, the kind of cold that could freeze breath in seconds. He expected nothing unusual until his headlights caught something small, something trembling, something alive. At first, he thought it was just a pile of snow, but when he stopped the car and stepped closer, his heart dropped. There, tied to a tree with a rough rope, was a mother dog. She was covered in ice, her fur stiff from the cold, her body shaking violently. At her feet were tiny puppies, newborn, fragile, barely moving. But it wasn't the heartbreaking sight of the helpless family that made the officer's eyes fill with tears. It was something else, something he noticed just behind them, something that made him freeze in place as fear and shock rushed through him. Officer Daniel had seen many heartbreaking things during his years on the force, but nothing prepared him for the scene in front of him. The storm raged around him, the wind slicing through his uniform, but the cold didn't matter, not when innocent lives were at risk. The mother dog lifted her head weakly when she sensed someone approaching. Her eyes were full of fear, exhaustion, and desperation. She didn't bark, didn't growl. She was too weak. All she did was pull herself closer to her puppies, trying to shield them from the freezing wind. Even though she could barely move, Daniel knelt beside her and noticed something terrifying. The puppies were tied too. Their tiny bodies rested against a harsh, frozen rope looped clumsily around them, as if someone wanted to ensure none of them escaped. Who would do this? Daniel whispered, his breath forming clouds in the cold air. His voice trembled with anger and disbelief. He quickly grabbed his flashlight and scanned the area. That's when he saw it. A second rope leading away into the trees. A trail. Someone had tied the mother dog and walked away, leaving deep footprints in the snow. The tracks were fresh. Whoever had done this was still nearby. Daniel felt his pulse quicken. This wasn't just abandonment. This was intentional cruelty. The mother dog suddenly shivered violently, her legs giving out as she collapsed. Daniel immediately removed his jacket and wrapped it around her trembling body. Her eyes slowly blinked, as if she couldn't believe someone was finally helping. "It's okay, girl. I've got you," he whispered softly. He then carefully scooped up the puppies, one by one, their tiny whimpers barely audible above the roaring wind. They were ice cold, far too cold. If he didn't act fast, none of them would survive the next hour. His radio crackled. "Unit 12, report. Are you clear?" Daniel pressed a button. "Negative. I found an abandoned dog with newborn puppies in critical condition, requesting immediate backup and shelter support." Static. Then the reply. "Copy that. Sending help now." But help was at least 20 minutes away. They didn't have that long. Daniel looked around, the storm growing harsher by the minute. He needed to warm them immediately. The only place was his patrol car. He carried the puppies to the vehicle, placing them gently on the heated seat, then returned for the mother dog. As he leaned down to pick her up, he heard a sound, branches snapping. Someone was watching him. He froze, tightening his grip on the flashlight. The forest was dark, but he sensed movement. Whoever tied the dog wasn't gone. They were still there, hiding in the storm. Daniel instinctively stood in front of the mother dog, shielding her as he turned the flashlight toward the trees. The beam cut to the falling snow, but he saw nothing, just darkness and white flakes swirling in the wind. But he was sure he'd heard someone. "Show yourself," Daniel shouted, his voice echoing through the forest. Silence answered him. Not even the wind seemed to move for a moment. He slowly backed away, keeping his eyes on the trees as he carefully lifted the mother dog into his arms. Her body was limp, ice clinging to her fur. She pressed her head weakly into his chest, as if begging him not to leave her there. "Don't worry," he whispered. "I'm not going anywhere." He hurried to the patrol car, placed her on the front seat beside her puppies, then cranked the heat to full. The warmth filled the car quickly, but the family needed more than heat. They needed safety. Suddenly, he heard the snapping branches again. Closer this time. Daniel stepped out once more. Snow crunched behind him, and he spun toward the sound. His hand rested on his holster, not to threaten, but to be ready. He didn't know what kind of person could do something so cruel. Then he saw it, a figure, standing between the trees, watching him. "Stop!" Daniel shouted, stepping forward. The figure didn't move. It was tall, wearing a heavy coat, face hidden by a hood. Daniel's heartbeat pounded in his ears. "Why are you hiding? Did you do this?" Still no response, only stillness. He slowly moved toward the figure, each step cautious, calculated. When he was just a few meters away, the figure suddenly turned and ran deeper into the forest. Daniel rushed after them. His boots sunk into the deep snow, his breath burning in his lungs as he pushed through the icy wind. Branches whipped against him as he chased a fleeing shadow. But the storm was too strong. Visibility dropped to nearly zero, and soon the figure disappeared completely into the white curtain. Daniel stopped, chest heaving, frustration boiling inside him. Whoever they were, they didn't want to be found. He pulled out his radio. Suspect fleeing on foot. Lost visual. Prioritizing the animal's safety. He returned to the car and checked on the dog. The mother lifted her head slightly, her eyes meeting his. He gently stroked her. "You're safe now," he said. "I promise." But as he said the words, he noticed something he hadn't before. A small tag tied around the mother dog's neck. A tag with a name and a phone number scratched out violently. This wasn't a stray. This was someone's dog. A dog someone wanted gone. Daniel gently removed the frozen tag and examined it under the car's dome light. The name barely remained readable. Luna. The rest had been scratched so aggressively that the metal was bent. Someone had tried to erase her identity. "That means someone wanted to hide you," Daniel murmured. He placed the tag in his pocket and checked the puppies again. Their tiny bodies had warmed a little, but they still trembled. Luna weakly nudged one puppy closer to her chest, showing Daniel her determination to protect him despite her weakening strength. His backup arrived in flashing lights. Officer Sarah stepped out, eyes widening when she saw the condition of the dogs. "Who would do this?" she whispered. "I saw someone in the woods. They ran when I approached." Sarah shivered, not from cold, but from the thought of someone abandoning a helpless family in a snowstorm. They transferred Luna and her puppies carefully into Sarah's SUV, which had medical blankets and emergency supplies. Luna whimpered softly but didn't resist. Sarah gently examined her. She has frostbite on her paws. Her body temperature is dangerously low. "We have to get her to the shelter clinic immediately," Daniel said. As they prepared to leave, Daniel noticed something else. Footprints leading away from where he first saw the shadowy figure. Larger prints. Fresh. The same person. He followed them a short distance and found something partially buried under the snow, a plastic bag. Inside was a broken collar, torn food packaging, and a handwritten note. The note read, "They are not my problem anymore." Daniel clenched his jaw in disgust. "We're dealing with someone dangerous. Someone who doesn't care about life at all." Sarah placed a hand on Luna's head. "Let's save them first. We'll find the person later." Daniel nodded. For now, their mission was making sure Luna and her puppy survived. They drove through the storm toward the rescue center. Luna's breathing was shallow and her eyes slowly closed. Daniel rode beside her, keeping a hand on her head to let her know she wasn't alone. "You're strong," he whispered. "Stay with us." When they reached the clinic, the staff rushed out, taking Luna and the puppies inside. The warmth of the building enveloped them instantly. Daniel watched them disappear through the treatment doors, hoping he wasn't too late. Hours passed. Finally, the vet came out with a tired smile. "They're alive," she said. "It's a miracle, but they're alive." Daniel exhaled deeply in relief. But before he could celebrate, the vet handed him something she found under Luna's fur, a tiny microchip. "Her real owner might be looking for her," she said. Daniel frowned. If that's true, then who tied her in the snow? The following morning, the snowstorm cleared, leaving behind a silent white landscape. Daniel returned to the station with the microchip information. When he scanned it, a name popped up instantly. Emily Carter. He dialed the number. A trembling voice answered. "Hello. Ma'am, this is Officer Daniel. Are you missing a dog named Luna?" There was a sharp gasp, followed by crying. "Yes, Luna is my dog. She disappeared 2 weeks ago. I've searched everywhere. Is she alive? Daniel's voice softened. Yes, she's safe now. And she had puppies. Emily sobbed uncontrollably. Puppies? She was pregnant before she went missing. Please tell me she's okay. She's recovering. But we need to talk in person. Emily agreed to come immediately. When she arrived at the shelter, she ran inside, eyes red, hands shaking. The moment she saw Luna, who lifted her head weakly from the blanket, Emily fell to her knees. Luna, my sweet girl. The mother dog slowly wagged her tail. Even in her weak state, she recognized her owner. Emily hugged her gently, tears dripping onto Luna's fur. Daniel allowed the moment before stepping forward. Ma'am, do you have any idea who might have taken her? Emily wiped her eyes. My neighbor, Derek. He hated Luna. He always complained she barked too much, even though she didn't. When I confronted him, he threatened to get rid of her. Daniel exchanged a look with Sarah. The shadowy figure, the footprints, the note, it all clicked. Do you have his address? Daniel asked. Yes, Emily replied, anger replacing her tears. And I want to press charges. That afternoon, officers went to Derek's house. He opened the door arrogantly, as if expecting nothing. But when Daniel confronted him with the evidence, the note, the broken collar, the footprints, his confidence faded. You can't prove anything, Derek snapped. We can prove enough, Daniel said coldly. You abandoned an animal in freezing temperatures. That's a crime. Derek was arrested on the spot. Back at the shelter, Luna's condition continued to improve. Her puppies slept peacefully beside her, tiny chests rising and falling in warm blankets. Emily stroked her head. I thought I lost you forever. Daniel smiled gently. She fought hard to survive. She never gave up. He watched as Luna licked her puppies lovingly. The sight warmed his heart in a way no winter storm could ever touch. But something even more unexpected happened next. The vet approached him with a hesitant expression. Officer, there's something you should know about the puppies. Daniel raised an eyebrow. They weren't born in the snow. They're older than they look. Daniel stiffened. So, where were they before we found them? The vet hesitated. That's the mystery. Daniel stared at the vet in confusion. What do you mean they weren't born in the snow? The vet gently picked up one of the puppies. These puppies are about 4 days old. Luna could not have given birth in the storm last night. Someone moved them earlier and kept them somewhere before abandoning them. Daniel felt a chill, not from the cold outside, but from the realization forming in his mind. Emily looked shocked. Are you saying Derek took her, kept her somewhere, and then dumped her in the snow with her babies? Exactly, Daniel said grimly. That means this wasn't a one-time act. This was planned. A deep silence filled the room. The vet continued. The puppies were fed at some point before being left out there. But Luna wasn't. She was starved. Someone separated them and then reunited them only to abandon them to die. Emily covered her mouth, tears flowing. How could someone be so cruel? Daniel clenched his fists. He wanted them gone. Every single one of them. A few days later, with Luna recovering and Derek facing charges, something beautiful happened. Luna stood for the first time without shaking. Her puppies wobbled beside her, learning to walk. Emily visited every day, bringing treats, blankets, and gentle words. One afternoon, Daniel stepped into the recovery room and found Luna standing proudly, her puppies nursing peacefully. Emily smiled warmly at him. She's getting stronger, she said softly. She survived because you didn't stop looking for her, Daniel replied. Emily shook her head. No, she survived because you didn't give up on her. Daniel knelt beside Luna, petting her gently. You're a brave mother, he whispered. Luna licked his hand in gratitude. A week later, Luna was healthy enough to go home. The shelter staff, Emily, and even a few officers gathered to say goodbye. As Emily carried Luna and the puppies to her car, Daniel felt a warmth spread through him. This rescue had changed him. He'd always believed in protecting people, but now he understood the depth of protecting those who couldn't speak for themselves. Before leaving, Emily approached him. "Officer Daniel," she said softly, "you saved more than their lives. You saved my family." Daniel smiled. "They saved me, too." As Emily drove away with Luna and her puppies safe in her arms, Daniel looked out at the quiet, snowy landscape. The storm was over, outside and inside. And somewhere deep in the forest, where cruelty once lived, hope now had a voice. The soft, warm cries of puppies who survived the impossible. A family torn apart had been reunited. A wrong had been righted. And one police officer would never forget the night that made him cry, because it reminded him of the power of compassion.